Well, hello. It's time to recalibrate with Janice McMillan. I am your host for the Recalibrate Your Life at 50 radio show. And today is going to be a great show, so I thank you for tuning in and listening. Each week, I bring stories and messages from people who are stepping into new dimensions in life, and technically it's really their second phase in life. That's what my show is all about, identifying the second phase people who have messages and who have something to say about how to navigate the waters of pre or post 50. And I believe that this is our season in life that only people who are in it can relate to. So my goal is to get you excited about a new way of thinking and a new way of responding to life. Essentially, I want to do three things. I want to propel you to do life in a whole new way. I want to help you to forget the past and see the beauty of your tomorrow. And thirdly, I want to usher you into this movement that believes it's not over until it's over. So I would encourage you to just step back and just take a look at where you were and where you are right now. And if this, the messages that are in this show give you a push to want to go in a different direction, which means recalibrate, then I believe that I've done something great with designing and creating the contents of this show. Now, today, I am finishing up part 3 of a 3-part series with a wonderful woman, Candi, who is co-founder and matriarch of the Oasis Family Farm. And I have thoroughly enjoyed speaking with her for the past 2 series segments. The first part was Unstoppable Candi, by God's grace. And she shared how, her earlier years were, she was being challenged and she was being stretched and pushed into the person that she currently is now. And it was definitely a message for those that are pre or post 50 or even, 20, 30s, and 40s, just to hear about how when God has his hands on you, you are unstoppable. And then part 2 of the 3-part series was Living Holistically. I enjoyed that. I took notes. I forgot that I was interviewing Candi because she provided so much good content that I believe we could definitely incorporate just like that. If you're going the route of traditional eating and buying box foods and stuff that's in cans, what she had to say was so precious because she provided medicine for fulfillment in life, and that included how to change our diet and our perspective about what we put into our temple. And today, the last part of the series, we're going to be talking about leave no one behind, the importance of family. So I want to welcome Candi Fortney to my show for the last time. I wish we could have 10 parts, but we can't. But hello, Candi. How are you?
I am wonderful. Good morning, Janice. So happy to be here this morning. It is bittersweet. It feels like we have been on a journey.
Yes, we have been on a journey, and this has been a divine connection, actually. I believe that God has done something amazing here, and this is what happens when you avail yourself to Spirit. When you say, Lord, have your way, move by your Spirit, this is what he does. He connects people, and so many people, they don't understand the connection. They think about it through the brain as opposed to the heart. And I believe, Candi, that, this thing happened because of a heart connection. So I just want to welcome you, and I just want to say thank you for saying yes. Thank you for saying yes.
I appreciate that so much, Janice, and I do appreciate the opportunity that your show alludes me and my family as far as getting our message out. And for all the people that are tuning in, so appreciative of the fact that you are looking into changing things in your life, and that at this stage of your life you are willing to take those steps. You are looking, and God is going to show you the signs and give them to you. And I believe that Janice's show and all of the things that she offers on her website are all ways that we can move forward in an easier way than what we've perhaps been challenged with in the past.
Amen. Amen. Well, with that said, let's talk about the message for the day. Leave no one behind, the importance of family. Now, Candi, you are the mother, the matriarch of the family. And as a pre- and post-50 woman, how many children do you have, and what has been the number one most cherished thing for you as a mother?
I have four children that I gave birth to physically, but I have many children. I have my children that are the in-laws. I don't like to call them my in-laws because they mean so much more to me than that. They've been such a part of my life for so long. And I think that the thing that I cherish most is their voices. It really is. It is that God has given me. I wasn't supposed to be able to have children in the first place, so they are all miracles to me. They are all my soulmates that God delivered to me and brought into my life to enrich it in so many different ways, even when we don't agree, even when there have been times when we haven't been close. God has always given us a sense of unconditional love and a sense of balance. And so being able to hear my children, hear their voices from the time they were so tiny to the way that they are now and how they express themselves to me and their differences of opinion and the way that their minds work. And that is so precious to me. It is something that I would be so much lesser if I could not hear all that they have, that they've learned, that they engage in, that they say to other people. And I hear my own words coming out of their mouths sometimes, and sometimes I hear the complete opposite of what I believe. But it is the opportunity that my children have taken to stand there and let me know how much they trust me, because they can say they don't agree. They can say they don't believe what I have said or what I have taught them, but they believe this and know that I love them no matter what.
And you know what I'm hearing, Candi? You know, it is through the expression of unconditional love and freedom. You've given them the freedom to be who God has created them to be. And through that, there is an unconditional love there because you know that they're not really yours. They're God's, you know.
Yes.
So you are a steward over them. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. That is absolutely the truth. I have never wanted my children to feel like they could ever do anything in which I wouldn't love them, and that it's okay not to agree. It's okay to seek your own knowledge. It's okay to seek your own wisdom, because that is what I did. That is what God taught me. What kind of parent would I be? What kind of steward, as you said, would I be were I to take that away from my own children, when God had been so gracious in allowing me my seeking, my search.
Amen. Well, over the years, Candi, how has your relationship with your children evolved? And I want to specifically delve into, you know, when you were coming out of your challenges and you had your children, how did that evolve to where it is right now?
Well, it is so funny because in my children's early life, I'd say up until they got into the teens, we were what people would call the cleavers. We were extremely close. We did not live, a typical life in that we always have had to take care of ourselves. So we've always gardened, and we've always had some sort of small livestock that we've had to rely on, and also had to use that in sales and stuff. And my children were allowed from the time they were young to be independent. If one of them wanted to learn to cook, they stood there in the kitchen with me, and if they wanted to try something on their own, I would monitor them, but I would always allow that. That was a way of creating a sense of self to me, that they knew what their capabilities were and that I didn't limit that in any way, shape, or form. Then as they got into their teen years, when they were now able to make some choices, I found that my children were making things and decisions way younger than I did. I had a daughter that wanted to become a chef, and so I happened to have friends that God had brought into my life that were actual chefs, and so they put together some books and pictures and photos and ideas and gave her her first cutlery for getting started in that when she was only 13 years old. Another daughter and son had wanted to be accountants, and so they really pushed themselves into that realm of numbers and stuff like this at really early ages. And then my youngest son has always wanted to be an entrepreneur. He knew that no one was going to be his boss. He was going to lead the charge. And so I got to see them grow into adults and adult thinking at very young ages. And so by the time that they hit their mid-teens, which is when their father and I split up, they were pretty much capable of handling life's challenges. And one of the things that happened in that was that because I did not want to be married to their father anymore, I did not want to deprive my children of the balance of two parents. And so we did not fight over our children. We did not fight over assets or anything. We stayed close and tight with one another. We just no longer lived with each other. And then the kids got that. They got the balance of it. It was devastating to them at first because they didn't see it coming. But then as time went on, they saw that their dad was part of our holiday still. We still did things together. We shared time with one another. We handled problems with the children still with each other. We would call one another. We would sit down with the children together and have these discussions, even though we were no longer married. So with that, my children have learned how to handle relationships in a way that I believe are more mature. We do not discard people that were very intense parts of our lives. I have grandchildren out of spouses that are no longer married to my children, but they're still very much part of our family. So I believe that the unconditional love that I have for my children, they have begun to pass that down through their own lives and through the people that come into their lives.
You know, that's an amazing story, because the one thing that I received was the fact that you don't discard people. And even though that, you know, you were married and it didn't turn out the way you had hoped for it to, you know, there's still an undeniable bond that's still there, even with your son-in-laws. And it's such a wonderful thing, because most people don't do that. You know, we discard people. You know, we don't want to be bothered with them anymore. You know, we scratch them out of the family tree book. And, you know, I don't believe that that's how God would have it to be. You know, it's such a breakdown in the family unit when we don't acknowledge the fact that there's history there. And because there's history there, it doesn't mean that we have to go forward in contention and strife and all that negative accord. You know, you don't have to go forward like that. So that's a wonderful thing to hear, Candi, that you've allowed those bonds to be there in spite of.
You know, I think it's different for every family. You know, for us, there was no abuse between the spouses. There was no, deception or anything like that. It was just they weren't meant to be the full lifelong experiences. As a matter of fact, I am remarried, and I have been remarried now right at 14 years. And my present husband is actually very good friends with my ex-husband. And they've even been on bowling teams together and stuff like this. And this is going to sound strange, I'm sure, to some of your listeners, but we are all together up here on the farm. We all live and work together. The children's father is quite a bit older than I am, and his health was not good. We could not leave him behind down in Florida, so we brought him with us, and he lives here with us. The son-in-law, he is also here with us because my grandson would have been devastated to leave his father behind. So we all still have our connections. We are still close, even though we are not bonded partners. We are partners in this dream and in this vision of creating a different type of living style for people to show them how you can be friends with one another and not have to go back and deal with the things that pulled you apart, but find those things and those properties in each other that lift each other up.
Amen. If you just tuned in, this is the Recalibrate Your Life at 50 radio show with Janice McMillan, your host, and today I'm interviewing Candi Fortney of the Oasis Family Farm in Sparta, Georgia, and I have had the pleasure of talking with her for in a three-part series format, and today we're talking about Leave No One Behind, the importance of family, and we're going to take our first break, and we'll be back with the Recalibrate Your Life at 50 radio show. Thank you for listening. If you've just tuned in, you're hearing Janice McMillan of the Recalibrate Your Life at 50 radio show. I'm here every Thursday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on the WDJY-FM radio show. And today I am thoroughly excited about this three-part series that I've conducted with Candi Fortney. She is co-founder and matriarch of the Oasis Family Farm, and we've been able to delve into some dynamic information, life-changing information, heart-stopping information at times, because it's truly helped me. I always want to be able to receive. I'm not just here to interview. I want to receive, and I've done that through our discussion in this three-part series. So I'm really excited. And before the break, we talked about how Candi has other partners in the vision for the Oasis Family Farm, and how they've been able to create a family infrastructure that has helped push this vision down the road. Now, Candi, I know that you show love and unconditional love and freedom to your biological children, but you've also done this to children outside of your family structure, and you've had the privilege of expanding your family with children that are outside of that unit. Let's talk about that.
I have been so blessed by the people that have come into my life, whether it has been someone that my children have married and brought into our family, or people that we always ask God to bring the people that need to find us to us and allow us to find the people that we need to find in our prayers. And so we have been so blessed with that. We have a myriad of people that are here that are my children's age that I consider my children. And they will tell you, I mother everyone that comes around me. It is my gift. It is what I say God has given me, is the ability to see these broken people that may have had a rough upbringing, that may have had somewhere where the mother force was not very strong in their life, and so they need the unconditional love. They need somebody who can see them and understand that maybe the person that they are right this minute isn't who they want to be, and to help them see that they can make the changes that they need, that they can find out exactly what makes them happy by being within a family like ours and being included in our family. I'm sorry about the phone. But that is how we have done this. We have been very, very open with people coming in and out, and maybe they'll come stay for a while, but maybe they only come for a visit. And for us, that's fine. For me, I am perfectly thrilled to be called mother by these people that have come into our lives. I really am.
I think that's great. I think we need more people that can see the brokenness in people and to help them to move along their life journey and grab that thing that God has put in them, to grab hold of it and walk it out for themselves. And you need people to help you see that in yourself, because a lot of times with, the chaos of life and the uncertainty of life, people get lost and they don't know what to do and how to go about doing it. And sometimes you need someone to walk alongside your journey and to speak life into you and say, this is not who you are. You were created for more, and it sounds like you've been able to stroke that passion in people and help bring that thing out as a mother.
I feel that. I really believe in that saying, it takes a tribe to raise a child. Well, a tribe can be, or a village, it can be any of these things where it's a group of people at any age, because we're all just children of God. I mean, in one way, shape, or form, we are. And so with that, when you're thinking about how people can be underdeveloped in a family, underdeveloped in relationships and stuff like this, they still need to be grown. They still need to be shown how it can be and what you can do. And if we started looking at one another, this is how I try to see people when they come into my life. I imagine them as a child, and then I imagine them as an infant being newborn, and try to see what circumstances may have come into their life, may have happened, may have changed them into the being that I see in front of me now. And with that gives me compassion. And compassion now, I don't have to forgive everything that they've done. I don't have to forgive the deed. I can forgive the person. I can forgive the being that's standing there and offer them that unconditional love. And then it's on them now to change, because they cannot say that I never received love, I never received understanding, I never received compassion, because I stand there in the gap to give them that, to offer that to them, to be a light, to be a beacon, for something for them to see the path that they were supposed to be here and supposed to be on, and to see that their challenges were just a way of being in the pause, right, where God is teaching you something. And it's up to you if you got the lesson or not. And if you didn't, you have to stay there until you do. So that is how, for me, bringing other people into our family, into our life, into our tribe, into our village, it is enriching. It doesn't take anything away from any of us. It just brings more information, more powerful light, and more unconditional love.
Amen. And, one thing that I am thoroughly humbled by is the fact that, and we talked about this off the line, but you were sharing how in your community you've been able to create a very colorful community of friends and family, people that you call family, whether they're Black, white, Chinese, or whatever. You've been able to cultivate a true community of diversity. And with all that's going on right now in the world, in our nation, where you see so many people that are pitted against each other, it is such a wonderful thing to hear about how you look beyond the exterior and you see the heart of people. And when you're able to see the heart of people, you can respond to God's quest and to love people, and in spite of who they are, and I love that story that we shared offline.
I am so blessed that we came to Sparta, Georgia. We were guided here. It is a very tiny town. If you Google it, you will see that it has a huge history of mixed information, stuff that's not so great, stuff that's wonderful. But what we found when we got here were people that we fell in love with. We wouldn't leave here. We love the area. We love the people that we have come in contact with. The majority of the population here are people of color. And so we are in the minority, which is fine by me. It makes no difference to me. I didn't come here based on what the color of the population was. We came here based on where God guided us, that we would find a place where we could grow, where we could seed ourselves and begin to grow this vision of coming together and not looking at what you look like, but looking at your deeds and looking at how we could work together to create a place where we all stand arm in arm, and it makes no difference what color you are, what your creed is, or anything like that. If you are standing in the light and you want to create this better place, then we want you part of our lives. And we have begun to bond ourselves with artists in the area and start to align ourselves with the way of creating a beautiful place here in Sparta, Georgia, turning it into something more than what it has been thought of and how people imagine it, because it is a blighted area. However, there are so many people here working, and they are various backgrounds, various education levels, but everyone volunteers. This is not something that we wait on the government to help us. We're not waiting on the policies to change before we do something. This is a group of individuals forming little groups and working together to create something powerful and positive. They have cleanup areas. We've just begun an artist guild, and which I am thrilled with, and we are trying to come up with different things of bringing some of the more famous artists that are here in Hancock County out into the forefront, so people can know that these little towns hide all these treasures, all these little diamonds in the rough, and if you will just look past what you've been told and go seek it out for yourself, then you'll find these things, and your vision of us changes, and our vision of us changes, and we just begin to glow and become this little diamond of people helping one another turn this world into something very, very special.
That is so powerful. And you know what I just heard, you said that you're not waiting on the policies to change, that you guys are doing it yourselves. And I think that's what's happening right now. People are waiting on policies, governmental policies to change as a result of doing grassroots movement, getting in there and doing it yourself, getting in there and creating the kind of environment that you want to have, as opposed to waiting for it to change from the top down. You have to be the change for yourself.
That is absolutely the truth. And here we are in America, and we are, as a nation, we have been spoiled, and somehow we've got to the point of becoming like young children, where we wait for permission from our parents, where we wait, which would be the government, where we wait to see what they're going to do as far as how they'll help us, instead of reaching out and helping ourselves, instead of seeing a need with our neighbors and reaching out and helping our neighbors. We sit back and wait for someone else to do it, and I truly believe that laziness is not the spirit that our forefathers gave us. It's not what God gives us. God directs us to help one another, to be there for each other, to be creation people, right? To create the world that we want, to create the area. And by the world, it doesn't have to be the entire globe of our world. It's the world in where you live. It is your daily life. It's where you go day to day. That's the world you live in. You may live in Washington, D.C. or Washington State or Florida, but that's the world that you're in. So creating the aspects that you find enriching and more powerful, that's the world you should be creating. That's where you should be living your life. That is the thought processes that should come every day. What am I creating for myself and my family every morning when I wake up? What's the thing I'm going to do today that makes this a powerful place of living? And it is easy to do one little step, even if it's that today I'm going to look at somebody and I have pink hair. I've noticed a number of people when I first started doing this, nudging each other and nudging husbands and pointing at me and speaking at me, and it made me angry the first couple of times. And I would get dirty looks back, and then I realized I was only creating more negative space. And so what I've decided to do is when people look at me like that or give me a look where they're not, they're not pleasant, I immediately respond with, "Oh, my goodness, your eyes are gorgeous. I love your outfit." And immediately the change comes upon these people because they were sitting there and they have passed some sort of judgment on me. And if I give it back to them, then what have I done but agreed with them? That yes, I'm a negative person. You need to have these negative thoughts about me, instead of giving them this place where they then have to look at themselves and their own actions.
My. And that in and of itself is the walk of Jesus. I can't say that enough, that when we take on, and just this past week with all that's been going on here in the nation's capital, I've been trying to evoke, you cannot change evil with evil. And I feel that, Candi, we can go to church all day long. We can sit in the pew all day long and dress up and be pretty all day long on Sundays. But what I'm hearing from you is you are manifesting God's love, and you're fulfilling the purpose of your life by what you do and what you're creating, and how you are extending yourself to your community. This is the essence of who God has called you to be. And you may not, it doesn't require that you, and I'm not saying forsake the assembling of yourself in church. What I'm saying is to me, I'm hearing a walking example, a walking epistle of what God has called you to do, and it's on display every single day. I hear that.
Yes, it is. It is. I was talking to my daughter-in-law about this one day because she actually has a clothes closet that she runs in her church down in Florida. And what her and I were talking about is just be the mustard seed. Aspire to be the mustard seed, that initial teeny tiny thing. None of us can save each other. We can only save ourselves, and we can only ask God to be part of that process. So it isn't on me to save you. It's not on you to save her or him. It is us to be an example that people then say, what is it about you? And they want to aspire. They want to feel the same way you do. They want to be able to get up in the mornings and have that smile on their face, regardless of what's been going on in their lives, because I know beyond the shadow of a doubt my faith in God. My faith in God is going to allow me to go through the trials, to go through the pauses, and know that at the end, when I'm done with crying and having my pity party, that God will still be right there. And will still be lifting me up and still be moving me forward. All I have to do is move and take one step. That's it. So with that, if we're just a mustard seed every day, okay, and you know how tiny a mustard seed is? It is so teeny tiny. It's like a flake of pepper when you shake it out. And I know because we grow mustard, so I know how tiny the seeds are. This is such a tiny thing, but they grow so many seeds, and it grows such a giant plant. You cannot imagine how big a mustard plant is. And so if you just aspire to be that seed, that's the simple, smallest thing that you can do. If you want to do greater deeds on different days, do that. But be a mustard seed every day.
Be a mustard seed every day. Okay, I just got finished writing that down. Be a mustard seed every day. I love it. I love it.
It is, go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, it isn't easy to get up every morning and feel that way. I get that. That's not how it started for me either. It was a time of growth. It was a time of God working with me, but at the same time, I'm a mother. And by being a mother, and I have that feeling already, that need to protect and guide. And so with that, it was easier when I put myself into that frame of mind, right, to then say, if I constantly am disparaging, if I'm constantly looking to criticize, then that's all I begin to see is things to criticize and things that are wrong. When I choose to see the things that are positive, yes, we may have not agreed with everything that went on with our political processes and the elections and everything that goes on. However, within my home, I practice an open policy. And with my friends, I practice an open policy. I let you be who you are. You let me be who I am. And so that, again, is now I'm in that world. And as we all grow that thing and we all start to come together, we form these communities that believe those same like ways, it isn't going to matter who's in office, actually. It's going to matter what we do. And we will start to form these things where no matter what's going on up there, we're changing so much here that before long, that's all that will happen. The change has to become positive. It has to be for our highest good, because that's what we are manifesting. That's what we are called to do right now, is manifest for all of us. We should be praying for the people that are in office right now, that they do things that are for our highest good. Ignore these things that we're we're being told to think about, right? Don't think about those negative aspects. Think about the positive things you want to see happen. I want to see this happen from that. I want to see this happen from that. And begin to just imagine those things and go about your life and let God do that work.
Yeah, yeah. It's about changing your perspective. God is going to be the one that does the changing. God is going to press upon these people's hearts and these people's consciousness and these people's mindsets. We all just have to believe that. Amen. And I've been saying that, Candi, I've been putting it out there that, you cannot be a part of the solution when you are agreeing with the rhetoric. You have to change your dial of communication and conversation, and you have to agree with what God's Word says, that
yes.
You can change it based on your prayer. You can change it based on what you emit, EMIT, out there into the world. So if you are emitting evil and negative stuff, then you're joining. You're making that thing bigger and bigger and bigger. There was a movie years ago. You may remember this. It was called The Blob. And it was a 1960s movie, and it was a big blob of, it was like glue or something, and it manifested itself from outer space, and it came into this community, and as it absorbed, it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just took over the town. And that's how I see this negative rhetoric. It's taking over, but light dispels darkness. And if people can grab a hold of that, then we can truly change the dial, change the atmosphere, and change the energy that's happening right now if we could just change the dial of our conversation.
I totally believe that. I think, and what I know is that God allows us to build foundations on anything that we want to. Whether you build it on sinking sand or solid ground, that's you. That's how you build your foundation. And I believe our country has built its foundations on some not so sturdy ground. And so the people in our country have decided that they didn't like the ground we were standing on and they needed something different. They didn't care what it was. It just had to be something different. And so we made this choice. And when I say we, I didn't vote for this, but I am part of this country. So we made this choice. Yeah. And in making this choice, we see that maybe we made a mistake here too. So what I think that God is allowing us to do is make decisions and choices and see how that pans out. And when we finally see what we don't want, we will finally know what we truly do want. And that will be the direction that we end up going. God has to tear things down, allow it to be broken, completely crumpled to bits in order to rebuild a more permanent structure. You can't build over the same crushed mess. It has to be changed. It has to be cleared away. And I believe that we may be heading in that direction.
I believe so too, Candi. We're going to take our third break. And, I just want to say, if you've just tuned in, you have missed a dynamic conversation with Candi Fortney and myself. We're talking about a variety of subjects, but today we are discussing leaving no one behind, the importance of family, and I'm so fortunate to have Candi on this broadcast today. We're going to take our third break, and we will be right back. Thank you for tuning in. This is your host of the Recalibrate Your Life at 50 radio show, Janice McMillan, and I am continuing my discussion today in a three-part series with Candi Fortney, and she is co-founder and matriarch of the Oasis Family Farm in Sparta, Georgia. And I have had an amazing conversation with her along the way. We've talked about some really wonderful things concerning her life and how she has positioned herself to take care of herself so that she can fulfill her purpose. And today we're just talking about her as a mother, as a mother that understands how to allow that nurturing spirit and that God's love to truly embrace a community, embrace family, embrace, those that have also entered her life at one point, and now they are still a part of that community. And I've been so enriched with this conversation that I hope you have too. So, Candi, you run the Oasis Family Farm with the help of your children and other adults. Now, through that effort, you offer small scholarship grants to graduating students in your community. How has that enriched the lives of the recipients?
Well, as I said before, we do live in one of the poorest, if not the poorest, county here in Georgia. And for us, we know that the children are the future. They are the things that their thoughts and their ideas are going to be what shapes the world to come. Our time is passing in making these different things that could have been big, giant changes in the world. The kids that are coming up now, the way that they go into college and what they study and what they learn and what they bring back to their communities is where we have to catch them before they leave. We have to stop and have them take a look and see what's in their community so we don't lose them. So this doesn't begin to be just something that pretty soon there is no Sparta, Georgia, that it used to be a town there, but now you just drive by a bunch of abandoned buildings and there's a few farmhouses there. We decided that the children, if we could catch them when they're young enough and start to show them where their food comes from, sustainable ways of taking care of themselves, that is something that they could do throughout their entire lives, and that they then could teach their children as well, and that they could make a living at. It is something that for us, we are a nonprofit. Every bit of funds that come into the farm go right back into the farm. We don't draw even a salary at this point. We are all just doing what we can to bring about change, and that's our main focus, is to bring about change and have people see that sustainable living is where we've all got to get a little bit of thought processes going. And so with the children, getting a scholarship right now, it's not very large. We can't wait till we can offer more. We basically had to pull this out of our pockets, our personal funds that come into the farm that take care of itself. But with this was a young lady that received it this year. She's our first recipient, and she wants to be a veterinarian. So for us, if you might think, well, how is that sustainable farming? Well, it is, because the meat that people ingest, okay, is livestock. That's a huge part of being a veterinarian. And so if we can encourage her to maybe encourage her clients into a more organic way of handling their animals, through permaculture, through moving them around and doing pasture rotations, then she is now bringing forth a thought process for other people that we aren't even reaching in our community, that she would be able to reach, because she would then be the veterinarian. She could come up with holistic practices within her practice so that she is now giving them the same kind of treatments to the animals, not always going to an antibiotic or a dosing method for your dewormers and stuff like this, but actually finding herbs and, like I said, the pasture rotation, things that are sustainable that anyone can do on a small farm to a large farm.
That's amazing. I think that anytime that you're able to engage the community and help them to bridge into whatever their purpose is, you're spot on. And it sounds like you are spot on with your outreach and your initiative. Talk also about Barnyard Babies. What is this initiative all about?
This is our brainchild right now to get the young children interested. We have found, believe it or not, that a lot of people have no idea where their food comes from. The association with growing and raising vegetables and produce and animals, even the meats that people buy, they are so disconnected from it, and that's where the factory farming and everything has taken it away from people's sight. They don't want you to see. Whereas a sustainable farm would have you come out and see the animals and see where your food is coming from and the practices that are going on. So the Barnyard Babies is a way of introducing small animals, the young animals, to young children, and starting to associate chicken with chicken, and eggs coming from chickens, tomatoes growing off of a vine. We have baby pigs. We have every one of the baby animals that are born on our farm are handled and played with by our children, and so by the time the kids get to meet them, they're very tame, and the kids get to learn about that. They get to see where milk comes from. They have more of an understanding of what this is that they're doing. So when they make choices as they grow up, they will make more informed choices. Our children, when they found out about what genetically modified organisms were, GMOs, they were horrified, and they began reading labels, and this was at 7- and 8-year-olds. So that allowed us to understand that children that young could make decisions, could have knowledge and understanding of what was going on and what was coming into their bodies, and tell us, I don't want to eat that, I don't want that, or ask, is this a GMO? Has this been modified? I don't want that either. They even began looking at their water bottles. So we just found that teaching the children at a younger age, engaging them with small animals to start with, is a way of putting the knowledge in at a very early start that is not super threatening to them. It ends up being a fun activity, and a fun activity that is now a teaching part of the process. We also plan on having things for adults to come out, because we've found out that the canning art and preserving your food is a lost art. People don't know how to do this, and we have to do it. That's part of our process. We grow food for ourselves. Therefore, we have to be able to have it year-round. And when you're growing in a climate like this, we get a huge growth season compared to somebody up north, but you still have to know when to plant what, and not everything is coming year-round because we're not a commercial farm. We are just a family farm. So when tomato season's over, that's it. It's over. It's not special lights, not special grow areas. That's it. That's done. So the preserving, milking, making cheese, all these things. We even make our own soap. We make and use essential oil. So all these things are things that we can show people how to do, develop a process at home that is more balanced with nature, the natural way that God provided for us, and to just kind of, once that starts to change in your life, you kind of do disconnect from the technology like we talked about before, because there's a lot of stuff to do in this, and it is pleasure. It is not drudgery. It ends up being, you pop open a jar of tomatoes that you canned over the summer, and it's the dead of winter. And you're now going to make some chili from tomatoes that you grew over the summer. It's amazing. Wow. It is. And it's a spiritual event for us. It really is. It is a reminder of God's goodness and grace, and just is more benefits to our bodies because we're not out in the weather as much as we are in the summertime. So, we need that light to come in that we collected over the summer. We need that energy, that stuff that we've put into those jars. It needs to now be part of our bodies over the winter to sustain us.
Wow.
So that's where, from barnyard babies all the way around to the teaching facility that will be down there starting this fall, it is a full circle of helping our community do something better for themselves.
Amen. Candi, we're coming up on the last couple of minutes of our radio show, and it's just so much more that I want to talk to you about. But, of course, I have to adhere to the programming for this show. But I have thoroughly, immensely just enjoyed speaking with you. You have changed my life, and I know that you have changed the life of other people that are listening to this broadcast. Briefly, can you share your last words?
I just want to say I love you, Janice, and I appreciate everything that your radio show does. I really do. Mm-hmm. I think that we as women are called right now to be there for each other, and to start to link our voices together in ways that we've never done before, to reach out to each other, to reach out to each other's children, to help balance ourselves, and through a change in thinking at 50, you have done everything you were supposed to do, everything you were told to do. It is time now for us all to stand up and go, what am I here for? What am I meant to do? What is my soul's purpose? And in finding that in that purpose-driven life, right, that thing where God has given you a direction, and now it's time to launch into that. You've raised children, you've raised families, you've had a career. It is time now to make choices for yourself, and that will benefit not only you, but those around you for ages to come. And so I would just impress upon people to just take those little steps and to always remember to just be the mustard seed today. That's all you've got to do. You just got to be that mustard seed today.
Amen. Candi, thank you so much. Thank you. I know that our paths have not crossed to end at this radio show, but I do believe that a mustard seed has been planted, and I look forward to what is going to germinate from this experience. And to my audience, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking with the Recalibrate Your Life at 50 radio show. I just want to encourage you to be all that God has called you to be as well. You know, as a pre- and post-50 person, I believe that it's not over, and God has put so much on the inside of you that is now taking place. This is the now season for you. So keep your eyes on God. Keep your eyes on the fact that it is not over, and what God has started on the inside of you, He will complete. I want to invite you to my website, www.recalibrateyourlifeat50.com. Check out my books, my blog, resources, my coaching campaigns. I have a 30-day war campaign that's taking place with direct coaching, and ROAR stands for recalibrate out of your rut, ROAR. So I want you to check it out, and then I want you to come back again next Thursday at 12 noon on the WDJY-FM radio station, as I will continue to encourage you, build you up, and help you to get to your second phase in a way that will prosper you as your soul prospers. Thank you for listening.